riders would do, but whenever they click on that setting, he's got the ability to push that bike back to that limit again. So it is tough.
Marc Marquez, he's got to go out in this session. In fact, there are some massive names in this session. Don't forget, only 2 riders will be going through, Michael.
And that is such a strong lineup for Q1. I think Joan Mir should be one of the guys to go through, and Marquez, I'm not going to say which.
That's what we're taking.
Definitely. I'm still in that line though. Yeah, Marquez is going to get through. I'm edging my bets, so I like that one.
Yesterday, actually, is still in a lot of pain today, and nor will Jorge Martin. If you weren't with us early on today, it's hand in his right ankle also. So we wish Jorge and Taka all the very best, and we'll see if we see the Japanese rider perhaps here. Who's it going to be, do you think? Pekka Bagnaia, of course, took pole in the opening round of the championship, and then it was Martin last from Rossi and Binder. We know the KTM goes well around here. There is confirmation about Nakagami not taking. He was third fastest overnight, and it looked like they could get 1 lap in. But the problem is, he hasn't got the greatest of records, has he, going through?
This track, he seems to have been able to do a better lap. He's got a good track position. He's got Marquez as a marker. In fact, Marquez has backed out this one, I think.
Lovely touch from both paddocks. Do it tomorrow at 12:42 local time.
By Marquez before he passed him, so it'll leave Mark in a strong position. But also, Paul's behind.
I will say, he seems very happy to see Mark on the bike. Obviously, he'd like to be out there. Any racer would, but he knows he does a job for Honda. He'd expect it to drop down into the mid-39s, maybe a little bit lower. Temperature's just about ideal. You see,
Champion in front of him,
especially in that first sector where we talked about him struggling.
That's his weak point, because that's where his lack of strength with that right arm.
Every time it just looks like when he's grabbing the brakes, it just looks nervous a little bit. That Honda is a bit of a shock, ever so slightly, as they drop down towards turn 14 now.
Yeah, tricky then through Hicks. There's no way past Cam. It's one line through him. But now Marquez will get a nice punch over the line. It should be a decent lap time, this.
It is a 1:39. Pretty good go, but 39.2 and 39.3.
Yeah, that would have put them up in. Well, that would have put Marquez up in
3/4 of a second off those laps now, and that's Marc Marquez. If he hadn't picked the bike up there, he'd have been running through. And they're in the top 2 spots as things stand, halfway through this first qualifying session.
Half a second. Oh, sorry, over 1/4 of a second over Brad Binder.
I mean, you'd normally think that this. In a race, I can fancy him coming through.
Absolutely, he'll dig in the race, and once you get a lot more feeling when you're in that race situation. I think Marc Marquez will be safe for that. I don't think Mir will be. I think he might have to try and better it. He's got
back into the pits then. Mir at 39.399, and there were parts of the track on track, really.
Yeah, the problem is when you're Mir now, you're sat in second place, you have to go out for a time attack. You can't sit there thinking this will be enough.
The most of the soft rubber. And he is straight back out there, and he's
back out behind
Mir. Won't he? Trying to get into Mir's head. Coming back itself, Mir said, not affected, doesn't bother me whatsoever. But Mark's got to use every Mir. Can he find something on one lap? It's going to need to tag onto the back of someone, I'd have thought. I think a mark around him.
Long corners, it does help, what we're going to see here.
Well, it was surely the look over the shoulder.
I'd get a new mask.
Yeah, Ken,
come on.
You need to down there. Yokoyama-san has also on the HRC side of things, but they tend to recycle. You're talking from when they first went to 4-strokes, and even before then.
There won't be a lot of people will remember that one, will they? Akira Rio.
What a character he was.
Superbike American and dirty on track. He was.
Spoke highly of you, though.
Yeah. It was like, oh, you're coming through then. I raced a new rear soft Michelin slick in. Looks good.
Looks like
it's all on the move.
They've got a decent gap between themselves. They are, you must forget, we don't have qualifying tyres in MotoGP. These are race tyres. And yes, there is a way into the sweet spot.
Yeah, it really does. That's why we've seen it catch Mir and Rins out a few times where on the second...
Binder alert through sector 1. He is underneath Marc Marquez's time. Now we know
that angle as well, where all the Pata logos on his back. I felt like we were on a a Yamaha in World Superbikes. Because it's the same start to... Yeah, this is the second lap he's on, isn't it, now?
Just coming through the screen there, just a quick word on Petrucci and Lecona, both nursing different kinds of possible fracture in there, and, well, more than anything, it's tendons and ligaments that he's damaged from that opening round in Qatar. On this lap, he's up on his own time in the third sector. In fact, he's within touching distance of Marquez's Joan Mir. Keep an eye on Mir's, so he's done well to even be back out there, you have to say.
Yeah, and I can't imagine him committed through that corner, the thing on...
No improvements for the younger Marquez brother, but Pole Espargaro 39.7.
I can't ready on this new rear tyre as Mark, and he's just been slow.
That's where he's just seen Mir on the outside because the first sector first. Yeah, Binder is not going to do it on that lap. He's going to have one more go, but I think he's going for it. Who said that he wouldn't?
Because his issue is every time he's put a new tyre in, he can't get the most out of it on the first lap. That's the limit. Yeah.
Bike was protesting a little bit.
He'll be looking to score points, I think. I might be completely wrong.
The other thing, actually, for Marc Marquez, I know he's going to go, but when he did, the Honda engineers told him that's the worst start we've ever seen you do. He's in MotoGP, going through into Q2.
Yeah, thanks very much, Gav. Michael, you were right.
They help them just take that last step because they're oh so close with their new package.
Yeah, just looking at shots of Fabio Quartararo, who's got to go in as one of the favourites for Seems extraordinary.
Yeah, I'd love to see it. Pit Bearer mentioned it yesterday, and they said obviously it's discussions that are ongoing. It wasn't part of experience, and yeah, he's a class act as well. He's done a great job for them in testing.
Yeah, well, it certainly is. It just seems like ages since we've seen Danny on.
It's a good starting position for tomorrow, and he works hard in his race pace. He's been impeccable throughout both Qatar weekends, and he's looking good here on the Porto. He was the only one in the 39s there in that free practice 4 session, and he done 8 of them. So that for me shows his confidence and his ability. But yeah, it's going to be a tough one. But I do see it a bit of a Yamaha Ducati battle.
And we're in the Suzuki garage.
Reacts with that fresh tyre in there. Rins has been looking good this weekend as well, quietly going about his business under the radar as he typically does. Yeah, you just couldn't rule it out with Mark. He does special things so regular that yeah, he could. So it could be just a strategy issue.
Okay, let's go through 2 comms then. For this one, the attack for pole position and the front row from
Grand Prix at the end of 2020. We're back here again at the start, 3rd round of the 2021 championship. We finished the Doha Grand Prix in 15th place, less than 9 seconds behind Fabio Quartararo. 15 seconds, yeah. We saw him go back in, and I just wonder if it's a... Well, again, they were trying to go out at the start session, because he was ready to go out.
Like now, like my mind's going, is his arm not feeling right? Is he going to not... So I think we were chatting then, weren't we, Gav? But this feels like it's Fabio Quartararo's pole to look here, and when he's saying things like it's giving him a very similar feeling to that 2019 chassis, which we know he absolutely loved. So
there is Marc Marquez just watching the start of this session on from the Repsol Honda garage. Was it the same bike that's gone back out there?
No, it's got number 93 on the front.
Right, it's the same thing.
Strange. It's a strange one because he's sweating. You literally just want to go. If you've only got one tyre, I'd want to go right at the beginning anyway and just think, right, I'm just going to throw everything I've got out.
Like that they're preparing at the outside of his pit garage. So keep an eye on Miguel Oliveira.
Known as a qualifier, not a one-lap specialist. He's an intelligent, methodical rider who works on his race setup. When it comes to taking his...
Includes all classes, and he's only ever had 5 pole positions as Oliveira. It's a bit similar to Dobby in that respect, isn't it? Someone who just wasn't...
I wonder who is the original screen biter. We call them screen biters when you sort of grit your teeth, dig in.
Max Biaggi is beyond that for our pole position time. Last year, Oliveira at 38.8. So you have to feel that even though he is, despite the fact he's trying to push that Yamaha to the absolute limit here in qualifying, just goes 4th fastest. World champion Joan Mir qualified 20th for this race last year, had electronic engine problems throughout the weekend, had to retire after Ducati. Oh, that's Zarco, and Zarco was a quarter of a second underneath the time. Sorry for cutting you off there,
that's
Neil,
okay.
But in qualifying he had a horrible crash during practice earlier on today, and he's in the Faro Hospital. We're told he's okay. Be too far behind him. Here he comes. Miller up to 4th, but goes 2nd. The 3rd.
Be risky because you can end up catching somebody on an outlap if you're not careful.
But by the other respect,
10. It's a long corner.
Oh.
Yeah, just Looks like the front just folded. Still
here. Watch out for Jack Miller also as Marc Marquez readies himself, his first qualifying session.
But obviously didn't feel like the lap was as good as it could be, so he's going to come in, put a fresh tyre on and get stuck. Look at him, he's a
bare arm, wasn't he, to dig into just above his elbow. Remember, he's about 2 inches above his elbow where he broke his upper right.
Joins into the curb, and it's quite easy if you just catch one of them at the wrong time, like he did with a little bit of lean angle, a bit too much brake pressure.
Johan Zarco, so that drops Bagnaia out of the front row. As it is, Quartararo, Morbidelli and Mir.
I don't think this lap's not going to be good enough. It's similar to the sort of lap time he did before.
And you just wonder, is he going to give it another go around?
Yeah.
And Vinales, both their laps have gone because they encountered Zarco, and that's perhaps why, just hanging on to Marquez that little bit longer.
I know he's got all the specialists involved, all the checks. You can imagine what they're going through. The last surgery that he had was in December, the beginning of December, so there's been time since. So he's going to sit now and wait and try and get a little... I mean, he's the fastest, but he's actually he's a very smooth rider, so he'd be the perfect guy to follow. But remember, we've had...
I want to go here. And it's alongside Alex Rins, who he goes out with.
No love lost between them two, if you remember.
Pit lane exit, ever, from a MotoGP.
Is it going to be after you? No, after you.
Is he going to stick it for his return race? Will he be up towards the sharp end? As it stands, he hasn't got a lap time on the board. So a little bit of a worrying moment on his opening salvo. He's just gone through the first sector quicker than his own best lap in November at the end of last year. I don't mean in terms of temperature, they're actually in a better range, more in terms of the track surface. A couple of bumps, perhaps, that weren't over another hill down towards the bottom of turn 12.
Looks much tidier than his last green, not too much wheelie over the crest. Let's see what he does.
38.862 from Fabio Quartararo at the Algarve International Circuit in Portimao. Miller across the line, goes second.
Lost the time as we've
played following Pecco Bagnaia. So the two academy graduates, 4th and 8th, and that's seriously...
Is pole position or crash? What are we thinking here with Marquez? He's going to throw everything at it.
He's going for it. He has lost the 10th, as you said, in that third sector. His sights with a Migo in qualifying. Oh, and that's Oliveira down.
A rare crash. You don't see Miguel Oliveira crash very often, do you?
So Marc Marquez has just put it into 3rd place in qualifying. It might not be for too long.
No,
here comes Zarco. He worked through this last sector. Here he comes into turn 14. Quartararo had about 3/10 on the Ducatis in there for Pecco Bagnaia.
Look good. This should be enough.
Time. Here he comes over the rise now. Pole for Pecco, 1:38.4. It's Marquez's time at the bottom of the screens. My apologies, Vinales, 0.1 off in the middle of the track. That's not too bad because you feel like the out of turn 4. I haven't seen it each time.
No, it's not shown us, has it?
Right, so.
And not today, mate. The rear came round on him. He had to stand the bike up, otherwise it'd have been a horrible crash.
He'd have been going the way of Paul Espargaro earlier to go, and Espargaro come across the line. Espargaro improves to 8th place. And that's
a second on everybody.
Fabio Quartararo just couldn't do enough there in that session. New all-time lap record for the pole man in Portugal. Francesco.
That's what Davide Tardozzi was doing. Then he was in the garage.
He popped up on all the timing screens here. Big yellow flash. Lap gone for Bagnaia. Breathe a sigh, and well, Bagnaia there, starting from the front row alongside a Yamaha of Quartararo, a Suzuki. And Pecco's lap has just this second disappeared from the timing screens.
Wow, after all that celebration.
Had his lap reinstated from the morning session.
Yellow flag infringement. Also, Miguel Oliveira, obviously.
Yeah.
Sorry, Zarco's team.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because now Zarco... Oh, Zarco's 3rd.
Well, I'm sure this will be looked into afterwards because
Pecco... So this is Miguel Oliveira. Wow, he crashes exactly where Luca Marini crashed earlier. Look at that. It's a front, but it normally creates more grip. It was a fraction, and I mean a fraction, wide there, trying to pull it back into the apex.
Looks hammer here. Marc Marquez is going to start from the 2nd row of the grid in 6th place as things stand, and it's going to be fun.
In that session, Fabio Quartararo going from the front row as we look at him, but Marc Marquez very happy.
It's quite strange. I'm not sure what the strategy was there. You get one extra tyre if you've gone through Q1, so I'm not sure if it was a tyre issue. Perhaps back down, take your helmet off, and then wait to the last 5 minutes. So a little bit strange. I'd be interested to hear his explanation.
And then he wanted to hook up with his old mate Alex Rins.
He's a pole, but it don't feel like usual, you know. We saw that Bagnaia was extremely fast. It has been good. I tried to push for the second lap, not enough, but first row is good.
Congratulations.
Merci.
More the lap time, but I'm feeling happy. I know the pace I can have, and yeah, that's one is for my team.